Hello everyone. How can we know where we are going when we don't know where we are? And so I thought of this episode, a very poetic title came, Resolutions of a Species. And even though I'm a little exhausted, but I can never be too tired for the future. That's the beautiful thing about the future. It's like the past is energy problems, you know. And you know, this episode, I feel it's an important one. I'm curious to see how many viewers actually show up. Jesus Christ, so... Life, a masterpiece with a loud engine. So life is a natural masterpiece with a loud engine. Okay, so let's dive into this. We'll start from here, resolutions of a species. I feel like there should be a saying that should go like, join me or don't, the world will go forth. Resolutions of a species means what is the ultimate output of individual human beings and the whole species. What sort of outcome does the species want? This is something not a lot of people talk about. What sort of outcome. Can it even have? Which is another way of saying, what are the species? What are the limitations of the species? So what I've done is I've pretty much thought about how the end result is going to be. So I'm like, resolution means like, okay, what's our final conclusion on the moment, right? So resolutions of a species, in some sense, it's kind of like, okay, let's say from an inner realm, it's like, what's our conclusion on something? From the outer realms, like, where did we get to? You see? In other words, so what is the idea? We're creatures. As much as we think we're independent, you could be like even a trillionaire and feel like you're independent, okay? But in reality, the human psyche, the nature, the way our minds work, is that they need an environment to be active in. So what I'm trying to say is that self and world are codependent, meaning that the greatest achievement of the self will inevitably be a great achievement of the world. And vice versa, the greatest achievement of the world becomes the greatest achievement of the self. Why do you think I keep saying advanced civilization? Imagine turning on the news and seeing all the places. It's going to just be a celebration culture till the end of time. So pretty much there's the question, where is an individual going in the world? Where is an individual human being going in this world? And then where is the whole species going in this world? Now, most people, if you ask, if they have a materialistic consideration, they will say we will go extinct. So secular people will say we go extinct. Religious people say we will go to heaven or judgment. Spiritual people say they're not even in the room. And then I thought there's an archetype missing here. You know, it feels like we have like the spiritual people, the religious people, you know, scientific people, you know. But then I feel like there's something missing, and I feel that's the advanced communicator. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the advanced human being. It's the only accessible legend. Like, do you know what's happening? The world is forgetting itself. It's something designed in it for some reason. It's another way of saying Intelligence is not designed to stay as a shape, but it's designed to endlessly traverse through shape. Do you understand? If you identify as the shape, you have infinite reincarnations. If you don't identify as the shape, you've been traveling through various lifetimes. You see, the human mystery is, how's the brain working? Beyond his human how can I say it? Okay, let me see. If I was to realign my attention, I'd go back to like, okay, resolution of a species, what's going to happen to everything, what's going to happen to the behavior of these creatures. These creatures can have a fear of their outcome, and then they can totally ignore a responsibility to live as what they are, right? There's something in life that it's easier to actually run away. I don't know why this world is designed this way, but it's easier to run away, okay, but it's less fulfilling. That means this is the strange thing, that the easy path, it is easy, it is quicker, you know, but it is also less fulfilling. But it depends on the context, right? Sometimes when I look at myself, I wonder, like, yo, do I have, like, how am I able to, you know, express myself like this? And I was like, it's as if my mind has a human expectation from my body. Or sorry, my body has a human expectation from my mind. My mind doesn't have a human expectation from my body. Do you know what I mean? That means it's like Tony Stark is in an Iron Man suit, but he's not there to just like sit still. It's the notion of using life, but not using life that is outside of you. It's like using your own life. And I'm not talking about like Mayan sacrifice and all that nonsense, you know. What I'm trying to tell human beings, Jordan Peterson pretty much was saying something about the Mayans or the Aztecs, or I don't know which one exactly. Man. Anyways. He was saying the early human beings couldn't discriminate what thoughts were. They couldn't they couldn't realize like the distinction between an outer and inner event. So when a messed up thought would come, they would just act upon it. I think about the individual, you know, the individual, it's pretty much like, you know, regardless, even if you're someone who has love in your heart, you know, like a ridiculous amount of love in your heart, which is incredible. But it's like you cannot ignore that we have to be self-obsessed. You know, I was like, yo, why is it like, you know, when it comes to like, you know, lust, like this is something you got to renounce, right, in wisdom traditions, because it's a desire. Right, and I was like, wait a minute though, what if I'm thirsty and I desire water? Does that mean I should renounce all desires? And you realize it's impossible, because if you renounce all desires, you can't maintain the human position. You see, the hilarious thing is, it's like the human being has been, like, look at how it's been. Like, there was a phase of idol worship. So the attention of the being to truth is outside. It's like, yo, this object is my truth. Then the attention went to a subject. Then they're like, yo, it's not an object that's my truth. It's this idea or sentence that is my truth. Then it went beyond that, and it went to a point where it's an inconceivable idea. Now that's when it got interesting. Because inconceivable means untouchable. The individual is occupied with its life, so the attention went to the subjects. After it went to the subjects, right, it went to the individual. So it wasn't that it was enough for us to just worship an object. That wasn't just enough. It's like we moved, let's say we went past that, right? So we worshiped an object, then we worshiped a subject, then we worshiped an individual, a person, okay? Somebody was like, yo, why are these celebrities who have everything, all their all these resources, why are they all going crazy and messed up and doing weird shit and whatever, right? And it's because, you see, it's about what you believe. If someone comes and treats you like a god and you believe that, is that like a smart person or a stupid person? Imagine a celebrity, right? So imagine like a celebrity, right? And then their fan comes up to them and the fan's like, starstruck and all of this. And the celebrity's like, yo, let me be Santa for this, grown ass human being, And then, for a moment, just take this in. That celebrity does that plays the part, wears his moment's subjective costume, contextual costume. But the issue is, if the celebrity believes, imagine you're someone who you've just done one good thing, and every day everybody's like, yo, you're such a good person. At some point you're like, yo, even if I do something bad, somebody's gonna come and say I'm a good person. Do you know what I mean? The idea is, are you believing in yourself? Do you know what I'm saying? That means sometimes it's like where we live in, the Japanese have a saying, they say the man is the room he's in. Okay, what that means is you're not just one existentially, yes, you're one outer physical self. Everybody relax. But internally, every moment where new information enters your proximity, your sphere of your proximity of awareness, it's a new self simulation. Why? Because there's new information. Simple as that. For me, this sentence, how can we know where we're going when we don't know where we are? I think this is literally the most, explains everything. Right now, the speech, it's a challenge for myself. I remember, I saw this video of Christopher Hitchens on YouTube, and he was arguing against this, other Christian TV anchor or something. And he was saying something in the lines of, the guy said something, and then Christopher Hitchens was like, sir, you sound like someone who's never heard an argument against your position. And I'm someone who's claiming that advanced civilization is the greatest idea ever, in the outer realms. So I was wondering about challenging my own resolution on the future of the world, on my vision. Oh man. Part of me feels too tired to give this episode, but anyways. So what is the main idea here? The idea is, if we don't know where we are, how can we know where we're going? It's another way of saying, if we don't know what our minds are, what are we doing with them? If we really don't know what our intelligence is, what are we being here? Is it a masquerade of an unknown something? The resolution of an individual, like being an individual human being, I don't want to say it's hard or easy or any of that, because it's not just a dualistic thing. But the experience of a human being, it's pretty much role fulfillment. Okay? That means if we didn't have the idea of, well, yo, we're human beings and all of this, it would just be a creature that needs to repeat certain actions in order to continue existential. Now, if it can successfully repeat these actions like an onion, but it's like a spiraling, imagine like a spiral, right? Concentric spiral, I don't know. What I'm saying is it's like existence is repetition, maintenance, like it's skill in being able to survive, right? This might sound like, I don't know how others see it, but even tiny actions throughout the day, right? It's as if it's kind of like there's cultivation of a sort of repetition, I don't know. The human existence, I'm saying it's ritualistically being kept. Those certain rituals are not like esoteric rituals, they're exoteric rituals, in the sense of like eating food, drinking water, sleeping, all of this. So, all right, let me gather my attention here, guys. I'm leaving certain things open-ended. How can we know where we're going when we don't know where we are? And before that I came to this, what is the resolution of an individual? What is the resolution of a collective? So let me finish this. What is the resolution of an individual? So there is inner life, and then there is outer life, and then there is something called as collective, inner life, and then collective outer life. These are 4 dimensions, 4 things that you have to, as an advanced human being, be capable of maintaining. There we go. There we go. So these are 4 So these are all for the individual. Or I should actually, what am I doing here? No, these are all for the individual. So what it means is your individual inner life is how you feel. Your individual outer life is how you are. Your collective inner life Yo, the viewers can like help me out here. You're not joking. What is the resolution of an individual? Let me see. An example of an individual inner life. Okay, these could be questions. So it would be like, who am I? And then the individual outer life is, what am I? I don't know if anybody's experienced this, but I've had moments where I've looked in the mirror and I've really looked in my eyes and I'm like, who am I looking at? Or who's looking at who? Like, just... Is my reflection looking at me or am I looking at my reflection? I can't tell. The collective inner life is pretty much saying like who what the species is. What is the species? This is one of the most beautiful questions ever. Anyone who's just, they've been called to answer this question, what is this species? You're just like automatically my friend. The collective outer life. This is another way of saying, not what is the species per se, where is the species going? No, let me see. The collective inner life. So I'm a human being. I'm a member of a species, right? And I'm just like, okay, what does the species mean to me? And I'm like, okay, the species is like my bigger family. It's like my, outer realm existential family. Not my just, just in design. That means we all look like each other for a reason. I think it's so that we have something in common, because we have to work together, it seems. All of us. That's how advanced civilizations are built. It's when the whole world wants to do something. So the collective inner life, okay, this is something that's not active now, but if I was to say it in 2023, if it was, what would it be? It would just be a level of honor. Honor is missing, right? If somebody was like, yo, Mr. Within, why is the world so corrupt? It has a very simple answer. Even though people are going to be like, what did you just say? Corruption has a very simple answer, why it happens, why it exists. See, if there was a vision that was important, that was so amazing, if there was a victorious vision, people would have such an honor that they would not let themselves descend to limit the greatness of that vision. So what I'm saying is, what is missing from civilization is that they've told us, yo, you're gonna go extinct, and we think like, oh, might as well have nobody care for any collective initiative and everybody just individually endure it out. No. The reason, why do we have ears and mouths? Like, this is a sign the universe wants us to communicate. What is communication? The bridging of inner realms. What's the bridging of inner realms? The information that is unique to how your DNA is receiving reality becomes shared with the global tribe. And the idea is that these creatures that used to be in a jungle, that used to bite each other, now have reached a point where they can sit at designers' tables and in some sense allow the future to be great. Do you see? The idea is, let me tell you why. If somebody was like, Mr. Within, why are you constantly saying everybody advance, everybody advance? Let me tell you why. Because the further we advance, then the future generations can go as far as they can, and it would even go further. Do you understand? The speed of our life is based on our identity. Our identity is based on either the past, present, or the future. If you're in the present, you have no identity. Don't act like you do. If your identity is based on, if you have an identity, it's based on the past. And the past is past, so what are you doing having an identification with something that doesn't exist? It's like, yo, the philosopher, the atheist said, yo, man, God doesn't exist. And then, the person says, wait a minute, though, your memories don't exist, but you have access to them. It's like you remember yesterday, but yesterday is gone. Why is the brain doing that? Why is the brain attempting time travel? It's as if, yo, brain, can you show me the future? The brain's like, nah, man. It's like, yo, brain, can you show me yesterday, though? The brain's like, of course, bro. Here, look into the file cabinet. The collective inner life. The collective inner life is, where is my species going? To be honest, I think it's that. So what am I saying with this? Because people don't have honor, because they're not building towards something great, it's easy to suddenly break things and let things be destroyed. Do you understand? In an advanced civilization, there won't be heroes, and there won't be, like, even if people try to do criminal stuff, right? Do you know how it would be handled? It would be handled in the most hilarious way. In an advanced civilization, there's no crime, there's no punishment, okay? It's just that if you do something violent and cruel, you will be literally very politely and compassionately guided to another sector. You will lose your authorization to grace your realms. Do you understand what that means? That means in an advanced civilization, imagine I think it was Socrates, or I think it was Aristotle maybe, he talked about his metropolis idea. It's pretty much like concentric circle city. So imagine at the center of that city, right now the downtown of countries are like the filthiest places, right? Both in regards to the psychology of the nature, the kindness of the people, and both in the actual outer realms or whatnot, right? So it's both internally and externally, filthy. in the downtown areas of the world right now. But what I'm trying to say is that in the future, the downtowns of areas is going to become like mini paradises on earth, and your kindness and savageness is going to suggest which sector of human existence you can access. Do you understand what it is? The issue is like people, of course, on some level we're like freedom, complete freedom for everybody. But then on another level, we're like, it's like we've put a bunch of people in a crowded room, right? And we're like, yo, dance. And people are like, yo, why are there so many fights breaking out? So it's this strange thing where we're like, yeah, have freedom, but if everybody wants to act on their freedom, each other's freedoms will impinge on one another. And you know, the secret to civilization and how everything happens in this world, it's so obvious. It's just like if you see a cell. It's funny, you know, we're not like traveling to another dimension. We're not transcending. It's like, or if we're transcending, the way we're transcending is by constantly creating selves. Do you understand? It's like an unknown force, call it soul, call it your consciousness, which is instantaneous, I don't know. But something unknown is aware that its biological existence is taking place in what it is considering to be the space of awareness of its mind. So what this means is that a biological entity has managed to have a relationship with reality. Now look at the genius of our biology. Look at the genius of DNA. So what happened here in the objective evolution towards the subjective, right? So how did a creature become an object? How did an object become a subject to itself? This is Mr. Within's vision and theory. So the idea is this entity saw shapes and geometry in the outer realms, okay? So what this means is its eyes opened and it saw stuff. But its brain managed to record and create a remembrance. So imagine the first memory of the first human being. The evolutionary formation of the first conscious memory. So imagine the person just has access to what's in front of their eyes. Then, now here's the bizarre thing, right? The first memory means something that no longer exists in the outer realms but exists in the inner realms as an internal object is presenting itself is being in the present again. Do you know what that means? That means it's like this objective intelligence, this intelligence that was just woke up in objectivity first. It realized it can't be anything more than an object, but it realized objects, the way it's an object is because there's an unknown awareness to shape. This is the clue. Awareness to shape is the biggest clue to consciousness, to the secret of consciousness. And somebody's like, Mr. Within, do you know the secret of consciousness? And I would say, hilariously, in the outer realms, no. In the inner realms, yes. In the inner realms, you are the secret of consciousness. In the outer realms, it's kind of bizarre. It's like we're in a world we didn't create. That's really what it means to be a creature, right? That's exactly what it means to be a creature. To be in a world that you didn't design. Anyways, so where's my species going? If there was a sense of honor, if every day there was victory and advancement and greatness, we'd be like, yo, what are you? It's like even evil people would be like, yo, what am I doing being evil? The world's becoming a cooler place. It's like, yo, it's like, what's my option? Fight? Like, it's like, imagine somebody went up, imagine Buddha, right? Imagine some like enlightened Buddhic person went up to like Batman and Joker and was like, yo guys, can you pause for a second? And Batman and Joker were like, yo, are you kidding me? Who the hell are you? Right? You know? And the Buddhist guy says, Or imagine an advanced communicator from Mr.Within Civilization 2.0, which let's say in the next few years, it's going to start taking shape. It's going to start growing, advancing. No, I got it, guys. The collective inner life is this feeling exactly. What is going to happen to my human family? This is the feeling that really motivates me, you know? It's weird, you know, it's like there's 8 billion human beings on this planet, and when I speak, I have no idea like who's gonna listen, what kind of, like how different brains are gonna hear these sounds. But I realize that the point of this world is to actually input into it, you know, rather, you know. And you know, somebody says, you know, yo, do you learn from your failures? Sometimes, you know, no. You know, you learn from a new world instead of the failure. You know, I thought about, you know, if in the future I incarnate as a human being, how would or I shouldn't say it this way. It's like I was like, let's say, if I have a next life, which I think at this point, like I've reached a certain point where everything's so unknown, where there's nothing really it's like you can't really identify with the void that's holding everything you've been identifying. I guess the collective outer life is, what is the great legacy of where is the human species going? Wow, what a sentence. Where is this? Can you imagine? It's like, yo, it's like a bunch of aliens in our skies, you know, hypothetically. And then it's like, yo, suddenly we start building an advanced civilization. And it's so, you know, and the extraterrestrials say, oh my God, where's the human species going? What are they doing? These are like the mighty, you know, the great futuristic questions, I guess. Then we come to, what is the resolution of a collective? Now this is very interesting, because a collective being does not have purpose in the same sense that an individual has. The idea of purpose is for a self in a world. It's like, what's that self gonna do, right? When it comes to like, what's a world gonna do in a world, rather than what's a self gonna do in a world. You know, the sign that there is a logos, the sign that there is an invisible guiding force, as the ancient Greeks considered, and you know, it's the idea still is alive through the notion of inspiration and the muse in literature and art. But it's kind of like we've been thinking like, okay, what can a self do in a world? And a self can have a relationship with itself, or it can have a relationship with the world. But then the question has come, what can a world do in a world? And the world can just be the world, or the world can be any self in the world. Do you understand? I have this feeling that the human species, which is now some sort of separate individual experience in this world, in the future, to me, I feel it becomes the freedom and ultimate space authorization. So what this means is that we're under the impression that for example, the traditional spiritualists, they were under the impression that the soul is in the body. Okay? They thought that the soul is in the body. But now, what Mr. Within is saying is that, wait a minute, what if before the soul was in the body, the soul incarnated as space? The soul was in the space. That means, imagine some people have an out-of-body experience. Now imagine some people have an out-of-space experience. That's like pure non-existence, I think. So the idea is you're not just a physical entity, because you're noticing how you're being physical in a way that allows you to even have some sort of free will selective ability of which thought to entertain and then communicate, right? The purpose of a collective is pretty much it doesn't have purpose. You know why? Because presence is timeless being. That's why. Time is a very human creature experience. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. I hope this episode was helpful. Share, subscribe, comment, and like, and join. And one thing I gotta say about this, I guess, excuse me. How can we know where we are going when we don't know where we are? It's not that we have to know where we are to know where we're going. I mean, sometimes you could just go forth and see what happens, but the idea is that we have to conduct an analysis. We have to take like 10 to 20 minutes, just pause and sit down in stillness and silence. And just like we go in a cinema with popcorn, in complete stillness and silence, and you know, I would recommend in nature or wherever, you sit for 10 to 20 minutes, wherever you are actually. Just sit down on the ground for 10 to 20 minutes. And in that stillness and silence, just out of curiosity, watch what you see. Just like you would see a cinema screen and just be captivated by the images. Just for a second, either close your eyes or keep them open and just watch what arises to your mind. Just fascinate, as if you're someone discovering your mind has thoughts. Oh my God. Now Mr. Within is saying, okay, cool. You've noticed you have thoughts. The issue is not that you have too many thoughts or you shouldn't have thoughts. The idea is you should watch your whole moment as your whole moment, and this renders the observed and the observer as singular. And someone may even go as far as to say, is freedom a human idea? That means, are there states where freedom doesn't make sense? I'll be like probably in like Plato's world of forms, like there's no such thing as freedom. No, I mean, not that there's no such thing as freedom, like the concept of freedom doesn't exist in a purely geometrical universe, because it's just geometry moving in the void, you know? Anyways, thank you for listening. And I guess the final thing I gotta write here is very simple. Go within. Rise, mankind.